We're back with our deck, and we're going to do some exercise for the calendar layout so you can get super comfortable doing this layout when you're with a client. So let's begin. We're going to just shuffle the cards quickly, and we're going to go through the motions of what happens without all the, sort of things that you would go through in the presence of a client, like having them refocus on the question, etc., like that, we talked about in the introduction video to the calendar spread. I'm purely interested in practicing the motions, so you've got to get your hands on the cards to really get comfortable with this spread. And I suggest practicing just the way we're doing in this video. So I laid out my deck in piles of 4 up to my cut card, and if you don't know what's going on here, you need to go back and look at the calendar spread video. So then I had 3 cards left over until I reached my cut card. Then I simply continue by turning the next 3 cards. This is also good practice because you'll get used to turning your cards off the deck like that book page that we talked about. So now we're going to play around with different dates so we get really good at calculating the dates. Again, today, as I'm making this video, the date is July 29th. And so, actually, I think today's the 30th, and that would make it Harry Potter's birthday. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. No, it's actually tomorrow. Oh, well. Okay, so I'm sorry, I digress. Anyway, let's see. So if today is essentially the end of July, I don't even need to know the exact date. That's the beauty of this spread. You round everything off. So it's the end of July. This pile that came off the top of the deck takes me from now and through the next 4 weeks of time, essentially taking me to the end of August. If you're lost right now, you need to go back and watch the previous video. This takes me to the end of September, October, November, December, and 3 more weeks into January. It's more or less in the middle of January when the date was chosen. So again, I would generalize and say to the client right after the beginning of the new year is important for you. One thing we need to talk about with this calendar layout spread is that 28-day months, which the deck represents, is just a wee bit shy, isn't it, of our ordinary calendar months, unless, you're talking about February. As such, as you continue to count, and especially in these layouts where you have lots of months, you're going to start falling further and further behind, or you're going to start to become off with the regular calendar, right? The lunar calendar doesn't quite mesh up with the ordinary 12-month calendar, the Gregorian calendar that we use on a day-to-day basis. So for about every 4 piles or so, I want to make a tiny adjustment in my own mind. And I don't go nuts on this. I really want to encourage you guys to trust yourself, trust your dates, and yet you've got to know the science too. So as I'm moving along, I actually got knocked back about a week as I carried on because each of these piles was falling just a little bit short. So the middle of January really is very close to the right time for this person, even though I had 3 cards representing 3 weeks into January. I just took it back a notch and said, you know, the middle of January, right after the new year. Okay? So we're going to practice that little adjustment, and we're going to keep doing spreads. Da-da, da-da, da-da. So I'm not even going to shuffle this time because this is not a video about shuffling, it's about choosing, right? So the closer they are to the top when they cut, the closer they are to the present time, and I'm going to always move my cards off in piles of 4. Okay, there, this time my piles came out evenly. I'm looking at just about 3 months ahead. End of August, end of September, end of October, Halloween. Okay, that's a nice scary card for Halloween. Perfectly appropriate. Got it? Turn the next 3 cards. And we're looking at basically the month of November here, right? If Halloween rings in our date here with the first card, then we start moving into the weeks of November. Okay, just takes practice, so get your hands on your cards, write your dates down, and check yourself. You know, if you have to get a calendar out and check your dates that you come up with, so be it. Now, I want to show you a little trick. In the instance that your client cuts the deck about halfway, you know, these are pretty close, maybe this pile's like 1 or 2 cards short, then you know that you're looking at 6 months ahead. It's half a year, makes it easy. You know, you can just think in your mind 6 months ahead. You can check yourself by seeing if you came up 6 months ahead. I'm laying piles out. And this is a great time in the reading to have a little banter with your client. If you've got more piles like this, and in a minute I'll tell you the banter I use. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 months. Boy, we weren't even really that close to 6 months. So it's good I didn't just assume it was 6 months and go with that. I was pretty off on that one. These cards are really funky and thick and frayed. So my timing was off, but I did want to communicate that to you. In this instance, let's pick a different date. Let's say today is May 12th as I'm doing this reading. And so this pile of 4 takes me to more or less the middle of June, right? Because I'm more or less in the middle of May right now. Middle of June, middle of July, August, September, and 2 more weeks, but it's going to take me back a notch. So I'm going to say, middle to end of September, you know? And then I might ask the client, is there something significant around the middle of September, you know, that you can remember this date by, if they don't volunteer something? Okay, let's do it again. Again. This just takes practice, that's all. That's all it is. Okay, I'm not even going, let's cut nice and deep. There's that Halloween card again. Let's say today is January 1st. Someone's getting a New Year's Eve reading. And these cards are sticky. I'm trying to get 4 cards in every pile, but I'm not going to spaz out if I make a mistake. Mistakes are part of the reading, and they're completely Something that I don't trip over at all. I don't even think about it. Okay? So, in this instance, we're going to go with that it's January 1st right now. This 28-day stack takes us to approximately the end of January, end of July, or February, March, April, May, June, and one more card. But since I lost time, right, these 28 days are just short of calendar months, I'm going to say that this is, I lost my train of thought, I got to recount. End of January, February, March, April, May, June, end of June plus a week. I'm going to say it's end of June. Okay? I hope you're following along with this. You may have to watch this video more than once and then get your hands on your own cards. Okay? Let's do it again. Ten of diamonds. 10 draw. Okay. Now this is, I'll tell you the banter I would use with the client to fill this little space. Let's say, now I'm laying the cards out as the calendar that they are. The regular playing card deck has 52 cards, just like the regular year has 52 weeks. And so I'm laying these cards out in piles of 4 to represent a month of time, to get to the calendar page that you turned when you cut the cards. Something like that. And then I continue to lay cards out. Da-da. And let's say today's date is April 9th. So this stack takes me through to about the first week of May, June, July, August, plus one more week. So it's the beginning of August, because this knocked me back a week, you know. So the beginning of August is the date for this person. And I don't fumble too much. I don't struggle too much to get an exact date. I trust myself. I keep moving, but I'm practiced in what I'm doing so that I feel confident. You know, it's a delicate balance there. And then those cards I've turned tell me more about that date for that client. Right? I don't get super specific about what's going to happen at that time. I say, this is a significant date in regard to your question. Right? And here's what you need to know about your question with the cards that are turned. Right? And the future is changeable as we change. Even having this reading is going to impact the way things turn out for you. Okay? Cutting cards, turning cards. And it's kind of a pain if they cut way down, you know? Like way down. Then you gotta, you know, make a lot of stacks. But I know I'm so close to a year away. Actually, I could cheat and say, here's 4 cards. That's 1 month less than a year. So, but then I'm going to turn these 3 cards. And if, say, today is June 1st, then this little 4-card layout is going to be May, the month of May of next year. Do you see that? It takes practice to get used to working with these cards, so don't flip out. If you don't get that, then lay your cards out and talk to your client about what you're doing. We're using the 52 card deck today, the regular playing cards. And the 52 card deck is a natural calendar. Did you know that? The 52 cards represent the 52 weeks of the natural year. 4 suits are the 4 seasons. The 13 cards of each suit are the 13 lunar cycles. And I'm laying your cards out in a calendar. Each of these little piles is 4 weeks, or a calendar month. Did you know that you chose a date and time when you cut the deck? Voila! I kind of time my banter with how deep in the stack they cut. And then I keep going. And I've only got one card left. So let's say today is, I don't know, pick a date, any date, September 2nd. And so this is basically September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Somewhere I really screwed up because this should be, what happened? Let's say today's September 2nd, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Whoa. I must be only working with part of the deck. That is crazy. Something happened to me because this should be the month of July, basically. No, August, because it's leading right up to September. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I am missing cards. Now, if this happened to me in a reading, I wouldn't flinch at all. And the first date that came out of my mouth for that client would be the one that I use. And I trust mistakes. I trust that everything is happening according to nature's perfect plan. I don't fret over it one bit. And I definitely would start looking for my missing cards after the reading was over with this person. And it has happened that I've been missing a card or two. I'll open my drawer where I keep my deck and I'll see that there's a card in there or something like that fell out of my deck and didn't make it into the reading. And I don't fret at all. I just trust that everything is perfect. Trust is a huge part of doing readings. You have to trust that the cards are perfect. Otherwise, you won't have that confidence that you need to see the messages in that spread. You'll start doubting yourself, and doubt is death in reading. Doubt is death. You will not see the messages. You'll start thinking you made a mistake, and everything's going to go south at that point. So you have to recognize when that's happening and pull yourself back up and just move forward and trust that everything's completely perfect. The fact that there are missing cards here might be a signal to me. This person's missing a few cards. Do they have a memory issue? Is there a period of time they want to forget? Something like that. And it's the way that I just take messages from whatever is going on, and I'm very playful, and I'm not real rigid about only using this little stack to interpret things. I interpret everything that's happening in the environment of the reading. Even the time leading up to the reading is so different for every individual client, and already I'm getting a feeling for what's going on with that person in the way that the preparations for the reading are going. Am I super hurried that day? Or did I forget something? Or, anything like that is already cluing me into the energy of the person that I'm about to meet with. So I love this art, and I really look at it as an art, as a bigger art than just confining my reading, as I said, to these 4 cards on the table. So that is that. So I hope that gives you plenty to work with. I hope that inspires you, and you really need to practice and get your hands on this calendar layout. And as I said, this is something that's really fun to do for any question, for any client. And so, yeah, thanks for watching.